when I do this. I usually grab it from the pointy end. It's got a pointy end and a rounded end. Okay, you guys see that? And then I lay it on down. And when I do, check it out. I laid it diagonally across those lines, not like straight across them, okay? Diagonal lines, it's gonna give me a diagonal line on the other side. Diagonal lines are much more interesting than straight lines going across. Think of X's on your steak as opposed to T's. T's would look funky, like tic-tac-toe going on your New York steak, right? We want X's, man. They look freaking cool. X-Men. I'm gonna put my other breast down, okay? You guys hear that noise? It's getting loud in here, right? I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. I'm gonna go down to about 8 out of 10. But it's making noise, right? Caution, if it is not making that noise, take the chicken out. Start over, get it hotter, and get it to where it's hot enough to where it's gonna make that sizzling noise when it hits the pan. I want aggressive heat here, okay? Let me wash my hands. Ah, it's smelling good already. And then it's just chicken and salt. Two great tastes that go great together. Okay. Nicolette, good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. Anna, good to see you. You have 2 of those pans. Now, one thing I want to kind of point out, my chicken breasts are kind of close together. I can see that's going to be a problem. Let me do a little switcheroo here, guys. Technical difficulties. Okay. There we go. Okay, my chicken breasts are touching in the middle. We don't want things touching, so next time I move these chicken breasts, they're gonna be moved further apart, but I don't wanna mess with them now. Notice I haven't touched them. At this point, you wanna step away from the bird. Would you even flatten the breast to make the thickness the same before grilling? I can absolutely do that, give it a little pound and everything. In my case here, it would have never fit in my pan though. Good question though, Meg. When I do my saute chicken demonstration, I always pound that out flat because that chicken breast is thick on one side and thin on the other side. So if I can get an even thickness, it cooks very evenly. So good point. Also tenderizes a little bit, makes it like a cutlet. Very nice, okay? All right, so my chicken is cruising along and it's been about a minute here, okay? I'm stepping away and I'm letting it get color on one side. This is exactly like the searing we talked about. Step away from the bird, right? This is probably familiar. We've seared in like 3 or 4 classes. There's no difference here. It's a little bit of fat. It's a high heat, and I'm looking for a golden brown delicious that looks like X's on my food, okay? And so let me get you a little closer here. I'm gonna take another sip while you guys watch that. And I think it's probably a little close to the time to give it a mark, okay? So right now, I kind of laid that chicken breast down. What I want to do is pick it up and give it a 45-degree turn and set it down, okay? And so this is kind of the simplest way to do it. You know, I could flip it over and then kind of do my turn right, but we're just gonna do our X on the first side first just to get this done, okay? By the way, this is just about marking that steak right now, or steak, chicken, fish, whatever it is, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and use a pair of tongs, and I'm gonna be very gentle now to make sure that I don't displace the skin on there or anything. That skin wants to kind of fall off. So here we go. There's your chicken breast. And I'm gonna pick them up. Yikes. And you guys can see the mark that I got on there. Not bad, even for one of these little grill pans. And here's the other one. And I got my mark there, okay? And I'm gonna kind of arrange these guys. Normally we have a little more room. And notice I got a little space between them that time. You guys see that? And now, step away from the bird, okay? So I haven't worked any of my compound butter in there yet. That's gonna be the next step. I don't wanna touch this bird, the raw side of the chicken, with my brush, okay? So when we flip this over, that is when we're gonna start doing that. There we go. Let's see. Any other questions there? Pans, you have 2 of those pans. I'm looking for questions now. What's that? Okay, I think I covered that one. Approximately how many chickens does it take to get this technique down? Hey, let me talk about this. let's go back to the stock making. I still haven't hit my boil over there, by the way. I've got it on 11, and my stock is still kind of cruising over there, not doing much. But there's a ratio for making stocks. It goes like this. It's 5 pounds of bones, 1 pound of the vegetables, the mirepoix and all that stuff, to a gallon of water. So every gallon of stock you want to make, you want 5 pounds of bones, 1 pound of veggies, and then a gallon of water, okay? So that's a standard stock making ratio that we use out in the industry. But you can see today I just had the bones from one chicken, and I just upped the veggie content in this one. And I'm gonna get a pretty flavorful stock out of this. By gosh, I could have a veggie stock all by itself if I wanted to, okay? So that stock is still over there trying to come up, but it's not quite there. Let's look at these chickens again, okay? Now, I think I've probably gotten a pretty decent mark on these guys on the other side there. I'm going to burn my face off, but this is pretty cool. I feel like I'm on the firing line. I'm going to flip these guys over. We're going to take a look at the other side, and we're going to start basting that compound butter we made onto them. So you see what I'm talking about? We got X's instead of T's, right? And these X's are looking a little bit dry right now, so they look a little sad and sloppy. It doesn't really do much for me. I'm gonna grab that compound butter we made, and I'm just gonna start brushing it on there. And they're gonna go from ugly and dry and nasty to beautiful and glistening and super, super sexy. And you see those chunks of butter. That's what I'm talking about. We will present the chicken almost like that with the chunks of butter melting onto it, okay? Let me get this guy over here. Now that I've turned it over, I'm gonna turn that fire down a little bit, like way back. I'm easing up on the heat, and I'm just gonna baste this other guy. This is where my flavor's coming in. That butter's melting. That garlic is just like, oh, it's just like giving forth its valuable aromas. It is so beautiful. Look at the glistening thyme leaves in that butter. It's gorgeous, okay? This is what I'm talking about. I want it to look like that when it goes out to the table, right? It's like so sexy looking. It gets your taste buds going, right? You're salivating just looking at stuff like that. I don't know about you guys, but I get a little freaky about this. You guys notice I get a little excited about things. And I am just basting like crazy. Hey, this is what I could have done with my roast chicken in episode 1 of Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour, right? Lemon, thyme, throwing it down. That looks gorgeous, guys. Talk about your Instagram pictures and whatnot. I think I'll take a picture of that. Ah, my camera's busy. Can't do it. All right, so we're kicking back. We're waiting for these guys to come to temperature. I've got to get my stock up to temp. Quite frankly, I thought it would be there by now. So we're going to stall a little bit. I'm just going to set aside my compound butter here, and we're just going to keep on cooking these breasts and just keep lovingly basting them with flavor and goodness as they go. I'm going to baste the other side for a sec, but I want them to kind of finish cooking on this side. In a little while, I'm going to be moving them into the oven as well, where they can kind of finish up. So let's talk a little bit about grilling some more, okay? Talk about how what I think about it. As you're working the chicken breast, we want to cook these guys till they're thoroughly cooked. With chicken, we usually recommend using an internal thermometer, right? One of those probe thermometers, the probulators, right? And you can probe the thickest part of your chicken and get the internal temperature in the thickest part of the chicken. Like in the center of the wine there, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate probing that right now. Once you do that, you are looking for a temperature of 165 for chicken, okay? For a lot of people, it's like maybe a little too dry, right? So what we tend to do is we pull off that chicken maybe about 10 degrees early, and the residual heat in that chicken will continue cooking it until it reaches the 165. So what chefs are doing is, as we hit 155, we're pulling them off and keeping them someplace warm, like in the stove area, basically, and then the residual heat, like I said, will just continue to take it to 165, and then the juices kind of settle into the meat. We had a little talk about that stuff before. This is that same conversation, okay? we're kind of looking at the temperature ranges here, okay? When we are looking at red meats, oftentimes it's not like chicken. I don't need to cook it all the way. So with red meats, we tend to go by temperature. What does your guest want? So the rare tends to be pretty rare to get a rare order, but occasionally you do. And those guys pretty much want it pretty red in the center, and they are looking for about 120 to 125, okay? I'm sorry, 120 to 130. Sorry, 120 to 130 is rare, okay? We get into medium rare, we're temping it for 130 to 135. There's a 5-point spread there. And then for medium, it would be 135 to 145. For medium well, it's 145 to 155, and anything above 155 is going to be well done, okay? And so let me get back to this chicken. I'm just kind of killing time while things cook here, okay? We're talking about temperatures here, but let's look at this chicken. What I want to do is baste the other side of it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of lift it. I'm going to give it a little baste now that this side is cooked. And I'm going to give it a little quarter turn so I can get a little grill mark on the bottom too. I'm going to do the same thing here. Get a little of that flavor on there and give it a turn, quarter turn. You kind of move him. And I'm going to baste again because that's the kind of guy I am. Things are looking a little dry, you know? I want to get more of that flavor on there, maybe. I don't know. I like flavor. I don't like subtle food. I want food that's going to knock me right between the eyes. It's going to buckle my knees. Makes my eyes roll back in my head. Who wants subtle food, right? Okay, so I just kind of basted that. We were talking about temperature ranges, okay? Now, we talked about all of those temperature ranges, 130 to 135 for medium rare is kind of the most common one I'm used to getting an order for, okay? And so forth. We talked about all of that stuff. Those temperature ranges, we don't pull them out at 135, just like I was talking about with a chicken breast at 165, which we'll pull at 155. If I want a medium rare steak, I'm pulling that thing at like 120 to 125 and then letting it rest until it reaches that 130 to 135 that I'm looking for. Does that all make sense, guys? We talked about a similar thing with our roasting class, and this is kind of reinforcement of that concept. It's a thing that we think about when we're cooking, okay? And so if that sounds familiar, that is my intention, okay? So this chicken is cruising along beautifully. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just giving it a touch. I feel the top and it's getting firmer. You guys probably are familiar with what a chicken breast feels like. You probably had enough chicken sandwiches at Burger King in your life, right? You know that what chicken feels like when it's cooked. So I'm just trying to get an idea of that. I'm feeling the top, but I'm also, what you want to do is get in there and feel the edges, because that sometimes gives you a better indicator of doneness. This dude over here is feeling so rare, okay? Much more rare than the top. We were cooking that top side for a while there, and the sides need to kind of catch up to it. So I'm going to throw this into our other oven, and we're going to take a look at this stock, and I'm going to get it on this bigger flame here while the chicken just cruises. We're looking at 5:39. I got about 10 more minutes of class here. Quarantine kitchen happy hour, peoples. I hope you're enjoying. I hope you're picking up some cooking tips, and ticks if you want, if that's what you're looking for. That's okay if you want ticks, but I hope you're picking up cooking tips and just kind of seeing that you don't need a recipe to cook. You haven't seen me measure anything. I talked about a ratio today, that ratio of 5 pounds of bones to 1 gallon of water, 1 pound of mirepoix. Hey, you're looking good at that, and you can kind of put a stock together. You don't need a recipe for that because you know the white stock technique. Let's do that one again, right? It was throw the bones in the pot, pre-blanch them if desired, okay, but that's an optional step. If not, add your vegetables, add your aromatics, bay leaf, thyme, garlic, peppercorn, parsley stems, right? Add that stuff into it. Cover with water, bring it up to a boil, reduce down to a simmer, let it ride. Let it go bloop, bloop, bloop for 2 to 4 hours, and that's your white stock for poultry. 6 to 8 hours for your red meats like lamb or beef or veal or something like that. And if you're doing a veg stock, it's only about 20 minutes. Stock making, you don't need a recipe anymore. Or if you ever do see a recipe for stock, you'll see just what we were talking about, and you'll be in your mind, oh my gosh, Chef Dave, he was talking about that one someday that you know, it was just, we know about this, right? I had so many students over the years that would tell me, you know, we get to the, you know, 6 weeks after, you know, they start with me or whatever, they're like getting to their final and they have to do like 2 plates with, you know, saute dish and a grill dish over here and this and that and these very specific things they needed to do. And here they come in with their game plan. They're going all night long working on their game plan. They're gonna, you know, it's like the invasion of Normandy. They're planning every little step of the way. And at the end of the day, they're like, damn, chef, I didn't even look at my notes. You know, I just got in there and started cooking. And I would always say the same thing. Thank you, or you're welcome. That's what I would always say, right? Because they know how to cook now, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. It ain't about recipes. Know these techniques. You will not need recipes anymore. Know a few ratios. Man, you don't need a bread recipe anymore. It's like a 5 parts of flour to 1 part water, you know, and that's what you need to know. Get a little yeast in there and go, okay? And so let's take a look at this stock. I finally got up to a boil now that I got back on my big boiler here, okay? And now it's furiously boiling right now. I'm gonna get in there with my little my perforated spoon. Serrated spoon, that's awesome. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn things down a little bit. And I'm gonna just push things under the water very gently. Notice I'm not stirring things, okay? The more I stir, the more I'm gonna kick loose particles that are gonna cloud my stock, okay? Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got some lovely, lovely scum over there on the other side. Here's a trick with the pots. What I'll do is, like, I have the pot on the fire. I'll move the pot over so the flame's over on this side over here. It's boiling on this side, and it pushes all the fat and all the scum over to the other side. So right now, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this pot, I'm gonna crank it up, and I'm gonna scooch it over to where you guys can see the flame. And now it's boiling over here. It's gonna push the funk over there, okay? And so I'm gonna get in there with a little bowl and a spoon, and I'm just gonna fish out the scum with my spoon. All of that scum, if I leave it in there, it kicks back into my stock and turns my stock cloudy. Keep skimming the scum, and that is the culinary term, scum. Skim the scum.com. Hashtag skim the scum. Again, notice how it's boiling on one side. This is exaggerated, and it's pushing the funk over to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna just keep on working on that for a minute. My chicken's still working. It's beautiful. Never has there been such a chicken. The world has never seen such a bird. All right, all right. Okay. So I've skimmed the scum. I'm gonna turn this down to a simmer. I want just a nice little gentle bloop, bloop, bloop. And that stock is gonna just be riding for the next 4 hours or so. Before I go to bed tonight, I'll strain that guy out. I think I will take another look at that chicken. Chicken breast is one of the hardest things to cook in the world, by the way. It's just it's just so easy to dry out. Plus that shape we talked about, where it's thick on one side, thin on the other side, right? If I dry out this end of it, that thin side of the chicken is going to be like sawdust, right? And so really, really tough to get chicken. So I'm going to give it another look. My nose is itching like crazy. Maybe this will help with that. Happy hour, guys. Cuisine Kitchen happy hour. I hope we are getting a pleasant diversion from the you know what outside, okay? My goodness. Doing good work here, people. We're doing good work. I'm going to push my stock pot to the back because he's at the boil now. And so I'm just going to put him on my little burner in the back. And he's just going to cruise, bloop, 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 bloop. That's what I'm looking for a simmer. Now, my chicken breasts are angry. They are angry. They're sizzling in there, and they are looking for another basting, okay? They look super, super dry. I don't know how well you can see that, but it just looks dry as a bone on there. So let me give it another baste. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to see what this looks like in about 1 second. It just looked parched and peaked. Oh my gosh. It's just gorgeous. I love the look of that. Just these simple things. I don't know. I'm just a simple guy. I just love beautiful looking, simple food. I'm not looking for this chicken breast to be sliced and laid out like velvet or anything like that. It's just like, show me a beautiful grill mark, golden brown skin that's like chicken bacon. I don't need a lemon crown sitting next to it, okay? Show me beautiful food. A perfect rice grain that's not all busted up and it's separate from all the other rice grains and it's not all gummy and stuck together. That's a beautiful thing to me, right? A perfect bean, right? Where it's like tender outside and creamy inside. That's a thing of beauty to me. I find food by itself to be beautiful, and I don't often need extra little garnishes to take it to some other place, or plates where they draw a picture on the plate, right? You know, happy faces, and you know, with the scrambled eggs and the pancakes and the bacon and stuff like that. Kills me. I know the kids love it, but I love how food looks. I just love a beautiful stack of pancakes with like bananas and syrup and the butter melting, and you know, a picture of that is much more appetizing than a sunny, happy pancake face with bacon and scrambled eggs, right? And so I'm always about that, and I just think that just looks gorgeous to me. Those herbs just glistening in there, and just the way that pan is talking to me now, it's making my mouth water, okay? I'm getting a little overly excited here. So what I'm gonna do is just give this little chicken breast a taste. It's definitely done. I'm feeling it. Just over the years, I can just kind of tell. It's got a little resting time to do here and everything, but I can just tell it's right on the money. I could, you know, I'll tell you one thing I could do. Let's give it another base, because that's the kind of guy I am. I'll just sit there and keep laying it on there, right? I want it to go, you know, when I eat this, I want it to be exceptional. I want people to be talking about my plain old chicken breast, okay? What do most people talk about? I talked about this in school not that long ago, when we were still in school, but what do most people talk about when they're leaving the restaurant? Creme brulee. Oh, it's just so wonderful. Everybody talks about the creme brulee on the way out the door. But here, the savory chefs are back there doing these awesome dinners and everything. If I can get somebody to be talking about my chicken breast on the way out the door, the hardest thing to cook, where it's so easy to dry out one end and not the other, and I gotta say, this is looking pretty good. I'm really doing something if I can get them to talk about the chicken breast instead of that creme brulee. And you know how I get them to talk about the chicken breast, baby? Right there, compound butter. I can make this taste like anything. This could be Southwestern, it could be curry, it could be mango butter, you know, just on and on and on. You can take compound butter any direction you want to do, start out with a salty breast and just start laying it on there until it looks like that, and until the whole thing just tastes like that. It's an amazing thing. Let me go ahead, I'm gonna pull out a breast. I know I'm cutting into this a little soon, but let's go ahead and cut into one and see what it tastes like. And then we will have another sip and get you guys on the road, I think, because I think I have covered all the ground I wanted to cover today. Now this side, he lost a little bit of skin there, so I'm gonna set him aside. If I was to present these two together, ouch, I would do a little smoke and mirrors and cover that up. Maybe put a little garnish over here where no one's seeing this skin kind of missing on that surface right there. Smoke and mirrors, it's like magicians do, okay? But let me go ahead and just get this beautiful looking chicken breast. I'm excited, I get excited, like I said, over just simple stuff. Oh, it's beautiful. I hear this chorus of angels, okay? Let me go ahead and steel my knife blade up. It's gonna be good. I hope I don't taste this and just have to throw it away because it's so horrible. Now, as I'm doing this, notice the skin wants to fall off a little bit. But that is all right. I want to point out that is looking juicy right there. Even this thinner, thinner side of the cut. If this is juicy, guys, this other side might be overcooked or undercooked, but I'm feeling pretty confident about this guy. Look at that chicken. It's just beautifully cooked. I nailed it. I am not the best chef in the world, but I do get lucky with things. I'm really loving the looks of this stuff. As I do this, I kind of want to hit it again with my compound butter, but I think I'm probably pretty good. I'm going to turn that off. I'm turning everything off except for my stock back here. And I have a little bit more to do to pull dinner together for Mrs. Nelson over here. She's got to eat too and everything. But let me just get one little taste of this. I'm going to taste this little nub on the end here. I'm going to get a little bit of accoutrement, if you will, to go along with it. Oh my God. Wow. Oh, knees are buckling, guys. Oh my gosh. There I go. Oh my God. We're not playing around here, guys. In the culinary kitchen. Happy hour. It's so delicious. Wow. I hope you guys are enjoying this stuff. I hope you're learning stuff. We went over compound butters. I better stop eating this while I talk. I'm just spitting all over the place. Not in the era of COVID. Let me do one of these and let's talk. We went over compound butters. It is a flavor delivery system, okay? I can take that any direction I want to go. It's a flavored butter. I can work shallots into it, herbs or onions or ginger or whatever I want to do. Brush it onto a roast or a grilled item or a sauteed item, for heaven's sake. You know, as it's going out to the table, brush a little bit more on and send it on out. It's a beautiful finish and it's a beautiful way for delivering flavor to anything you want to do, okay? And it's so easy to do. I used to have like 5 different compound butters just in the top of my cart at any given time if I want to lay flavor on. If whenever I want to lay flavor on, I can just pull them on out, okay? The other thing that we talked about was breaking down a chicken, okay? You saw me take off the wing part first. As we were doing the wings, we were cutting away from the breast, right? I want those breasts. That's the money cut, right? So we did that. I took out the wishbone just to show you that, but you can kind of work around that, not a big deal. The next cut I did was I did 2 slashes of the skin near the thighs and just kind of slashed the skin, and then I popped the 2 joints there, and then once I did that, the chicken was stabilized on the board, and I removed the 2 breasts off of there, and that's just a matter of shaving them off of both sides of the keel bone, right? That keel bone's like a shark fin on the top of that chicken, okay? Peel those breasts off in both directions, and then the last thing we did, we removed those legs. Instead of going from straight down with the chicken just sitting on your board, I went from the tail to the neck, like my knife was a T moving along that body, and I tried to pick up that oyster on the back. We talked about the oyster. A lot of terminology and a lot of things there, but we covered a bunch of little things as we broke that thing down, and hopefully that gave you a little idea of, you know, what it takes to break down a chicken, you know? It's a thing. It's called Adulting 101, okay? Once we got that chicken done, I got a stock going. We talked about white stock, and I feel like I went through it 3 or 4 times, okay? But again, bones in there. You are going to add vegetables, mirepoix, aromatics, thyme, bay leaf, peppercorn, garlic, parsley stems, right? Cover with water, bring to a boil, reduce to a simmer, let it go for 2 to 4 hours if you're using poultry bones. And I think we covered that. Oh, skim the scum. Skim the scum. Skim the scum. Lots of skimming, okay? All of that skimming and all of that, okay? And then finally, we talked about grilling. We season the item that we're going to grill. We pre-season it ahead of time, okay? And when I say season, I mean salt, okay? We pre-season that item and we oil that item ahead of time. We get our grill smoking hot and we oil the grill too. And then the 2 come together. We put it, one thing I didn't mention is when we lay that breast or steak or whatever it is, lay in the presentation side, the prettiest side first. Get the marks on that pretty side, the presentation side, and then go for the back side, the ugly side, right? Once that is all done, you're going to go ahead and just baste whatever flavor on there with your compound butter idea and take it to the temperature that you're looking at. And I talked about the temperatures in this one. I talked about the temperatures in our roasting class, the very first quarantine kitchen there was. I should probably get going because I think Facebook is going to cut me off. I hope you guys got a little something about this. I do want you to remember that there's more in the world than just the craziness outside, okay? We can get together like this and have a really good time, I hope, and I hope we can keep on doing that. And I hope you're learning, and I hope you're getting something from this. Please give me a shout out in the comments. Please go to my YouTube page. I'm trying to drive traffic over there. Subscribe to that page and I'll give you $1. I'm not going to give you $1, but you get the idea, okay? Other than that, guys, just keep cooking, guys. Spread the word, spread the towel of the kitchen. Get your friends cooking, get them away from that processed food, and never forget that the party is always going to be in the kitchen, guys. And I hope you felt it today. We're going to feel it next quarantine happy hour. Look for it. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I believe class is dismissed. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.